And this is where we answer the questions from the community, whether it came from Twitter, whether it came from YouTube. Right. It's hashtag Ask the Fight Guys. So
it's my new favorite segment, by the way.
I always love talking to the people.
Yeah,
I always love talking to the people. So, and there's some funny stuff that comes from here. Sometimes it's at our expense, but regardless, it's still some funny stuff that comes from here. And one of the ones I want to pull out, this is like a stream of comments, right? So a couple episodes ago, Peter talked about the possibility of a Dominic Breazeale Andrew Ruiz fight, and we're gonna play a clip.
I mean, look, I was reading something yesterday that Dominic Breazeale said that he would like to fight Andy Ruiz Jr. and that he wants to be, or that he thinks he'll be the first guy to stop him. My whole point is, who cares?
Okay, so now you heard what Peter said. And I'm going to be honest,
still stand by it.
I can't act like I didn't agree with him when he said it.
Right.
But now I'm starting to back up and say maybe that was just me, or maybe that was just Peter and I who feel like that, because obviously there's an audience.
Right.
We had somebody come on and EW Connect video or EW Connect videos said good fight, good matchup. Mm-hmm. Rob Boss said, whilst it being a good fight, whilst it wouldn't be well, I've heard people say whilst.
Okay.
Who are actually English.
Potato, but I'm expecting whilst.
Okay.
Well, I'm still sticking with whilst.
Well, you stick with whilst, just like you stuck with Ruiz and Breazeale. It's whatever. So whilst it being it wouldn't be a good fight. And I can see why many people wouldn't be interested. I personally would still watch it if it happens. I'm interested to see if Andy Ruiz can get his act back together and bounce back from his defeat against Anthony Joshua. Besides, I consider myself a fan of Ruiz, and I even was before his first fight with Joshua. The guy's unique because of his build / physique. He has very fast hands for a heavyweight, hits very hard, etc., which is something that Evander Holyfield told you in one of our early videos that happened before this fight, when Evander Holyfield was one of the only people who predicted that Ruiz would win that fight. So we're going to put the link to that video.
He actually said, he was with Riddick Bowe, and he actually said, we were hanging out in the gym. Mm-hmm. He said, I wouldn't want to fight him.
I wouldn't want to fight him because he had already sparred him.
I wouldn't want to fight him.
Yeah, wouldn't fight him. So that was like kind of like the seed that was planted in a lot of guys' minds, because everybody knows that obviously Vander, one of the greatest heavyweights of all time.
I'm gonna call him. We got to get him back on the show.
That would be awesome. It would be awesome. Love to talk. Love to hear what he has to say about that, the Deontay Wilder fight, and some other stuff. But we also had Overbro Media come in and said, I think this would be a great undercard fight. And he brought up a really, I think, sound point. He said Breazeale is rarely in a boring fight. I would say that's pretty accurate. Like he'll lose, he'll get dropped, he'll get knocked out by the elite heavyweights like Wilder and Joshua. Mm-hmm. But he also gets his share of knockouts, and you don't ever have to come and find Dominic Breazeale. He's there to scrap. So you're going to see fireworks, and I think we both know that Andy Ruiz likes to throw hands too. So these comments were interesting and made me take a second guess about what I was saying. So now we did have one comment that was pretty hilarious. It comes from Lion Killer, LCR.
Okay. Right.
And my man said that it would be the battle for titty supremacy. The battle of the D cups. The war of human water balloon.
Man, he's going
so
savage.
He's going real hard on that fight. But in either case, sounds to me like there's some appeal there.
All right. So let me say this. Listening to the comments.
Yes.
Okay. And listening to the comments and thinking more about it. Mm-hmm. I think I'm I could change my mind on this. Making it a co-feature on a bigger show, kind of a crossroads fight for both guys. Both guys can clearly fight. I did mention I kind of would have liked to have seen Breazeale maybe in a rematch with Wilder. Maybe not now, maybe down the road. I said it because, when guys get caught like that, especially coming off the fact that I thought he hurt Wilder, stunned him a little bit right before that. Mm-hmm. All right, I'll walk it back here. So, you know what that means, Brian, right?
Yes.
Tell him.
You'll back up on your comments. You'll take a little bit. You won't be as. You just got TKO'd.
I got TKO'd.
You did.
I have to agree. I might have said what I said in haste.
Yes.
Maybe it was more reactionary to reading what Breazeale said. But then, like, when you talk about it as a matchup, I mean, the truth of the matter is, I still believe that Andy Ruiz, you can argue that he beat Joseph Parker. Okay. So really the only loss that he's had was the rematch to Joshua, which he seemed to just not show up in the best of shape for.
Yeah. And one thing I will say, here's one thing that I have to remember in some of the different industries that I cover and have maybe covered extensively for years. And for you, I know you probably have to do this at times too. You've been in the boxing business for over 20 years.
25.
You've seen over 25 years. You've seen tons of stuff, like just about almost everything you can think of. Right. And sometimes,
and I fought and for those that, leave comments that I've never fought, I did fight. I had 40 amateur fights. I didn't fight professionally. I'm sorry. I mean, when I was 22, I started with Don King. I spent a decade there instead of fighing professionally. So I do know what I do have a certain level of experience.
Follow a little different style fight.
Yeah.
so the thing of it is sometimes when you're so close and you are an expert in something, you forget about the cheap pop or the cheap entertainment aspect of it, which it seems cheap entertainment to somebody who's deep in it because it doesn't seem meaningful, but you kind of forget that there's an audience for a person who's not as deep into it as you are.
No, listen, I take it back. I mean, it's a good fight. And you know what? And I would sit there and watch it and enjoy it. And it's a stylistic matchup where, whoever could impose their style in that fight is going to win. You got a bigger man with a bigger punch against a smaller guy who can outwork you, faster hands, who also has some pop. Yeah. So, you know what? I take it back. I've been TKO'd. I appreciate those comments because you guys have changed my mind.
Yeah, I think there's nothing to change your mind like actual boxing fans who probably buy or sit down and watch programs.
Yeah, they make good points.
Saying, hey, I'd watch it. There's nothing that changes you like that.